What do you think you're going to do?
Hello everyone, my name is Jade, otherwise known as Scarlet Rebel, and boy, it has been a hot second. I think the last time I was on camera was reacting to the Witch Queen livestream, and now we're reacting to the livestream ViDoc, and yeah, I'm really excited. There are, as always, a couple of disclaimers with these reaction videos. The first, if you've been around, if you know me, you'll know that I react to these with my partner Tristan. We're in a long distance relationship. He is on a Discord call with me. It's why I have the headphones on. If you hear me saying something and it sounds like I'm talking to no one, I'm talking to him. That is the first disclaimer. The second disclaimer is that I knew that the sun was going to be setting at least by the time I started to record this, but for some reason I thought in my mind, oh, if I have my ring light on, it'll be fine. The sun won't go down fully whilst I'm reacting to it, surely. Well, guess what ended up happening? So a lot of the footage of me in the corner actually reacting is going to be very different light levels. I'm going to do my best when I edit this to make it as even as possible. But even then, if you're just here for the audio, it'll be absolutely fine, because that, at the very least, has not failed me. And then after we react, we're going to talk about it just a little bit, what my sort of first impressions are, what I'm excited for the most, what I think the story is going to be, and things like that. So I hope you all enjoy this reaction.
I know what you're wondering. What is true?
Oh!
And what is false?
The Witch Queen is an unsettling mystery.
Eris really
Our
said,
biggest foe,
I'm here.
Savathun, has our grandest tool, the light.
Finally.
It's paying off narrative threads that we planted way back in Destiny 1.
Ooh, okay.
I'm here to protect humanity. How do we stop this?
The stakes in the universe are rising. and it's
Saladin!
the greatest challenge that we've ever faced.
We're shedding that dogma of light equals good, darkness equals bad. We're really entering the mists and trying to discern what's in front of us and what's lurking
She
just
looks
underneath
evil.
the surface.
Oh, hive
What is your
worms!
truth now?
Hive
There
worms!
are a
Oh
lot of
no!
bombshells in the Witch Queen narrative. And that's just scratching the surface of what we're going to get into this year.
It looks like there's a lot of cutscenes. I'm seeing a lot of cutscene
Witch
footage,
Queen and
which I
Season
really
of the Risen
appreciate.
is chapter 1 and the beginning of the end for the Light and Darkness saga.
We're really getting to the core of what it means to be a guardian. We are looking at and asking big questions
I'm not
about
sure, I didn't
the
hear
light
it.
and darkness.
We have a big bad that we've been anticipating for a
There
really
she
long
is.
time coming back in the
Julia
form of
Madine.
Savathun.
Savathun's had a hand in most of the major conflicts that we've been involved with.
We've heard about Savathun for years and just bits and pieces, and then like you see it slowly building over seasons until we come to this huge critical point.
Savathun's no longer just someone you hear about.
She's not just interfering in little ways. She's now ready to take center stage.
Uh-oh.
Sight. 1, 2, 3.
Savathun, she's larger than life. We wanted to make her feel imposing and very regal and dancing through motion in some way.
The light offers us a fresh start.
She's very manipulative. She is very ethereal, but she also has like
Love
that
seeing Mocha.
creepiness to her as well.
She promised she'd help
I
us
love
out
seeing
with
Mocha.
this pyramid ship problem that's coming our way. But the reality of the situation is Savathun is only on Savathun's side.
Oh, Anna
We've
is there
outlived
too,
our
and
purpose,
Saint.
and it is to
And
Savathun's
Shax.
benefit to
The gang's all
wipe us off
together.
that chessboard.
She's lived among us. She has played us for fools. She knows us inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been a step ahead of us, like, the whole way. So how do you beat someone like that?
It isn't too late. You can still be forgiven. Be careful.
I'll hold you to that.
I'll hold you to it.
In order to beat Savathun, you need to understand Savathun.
Her throne world is a manifestation of Savathun's own personality, which is in Witch Queen going through a transformation through the light.
She has these areas that she's kind of trying to shun and push away.
It is really gorgeous.
For the old hive areas, it's much more atmospheric, it's very dense, it's very claustrophobic, it's spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you make your way into the Lucent hive area, it's a lot more open and broad. It's definitely brighter, it's definitely more lively.
We want people to look at it like an impressionist painting, something that's very pretty from far away, but as you get closer,
oh yeah, they definitely nailed
what
that.
It seems it's very unsettling.
Oh my god, the statue's moving! I love it!
These things within the world, and you're not entirely sure what they are, and you have to get close, and you have to investigate.
What's really going to be exciting for players is that they're going to get to play that part of psychic detective.
That armor is
trying
so
to solve
good.
the many mysteries of the throne world.
Oh, moths. We do, yeah.
Witch Queen campaign, I think, is probably the most ambitious campaign we've
Oh my
made in a
god,
very
that
long
shirt!
time.
Catherine Walker, please!
Definitively Destiny campaign, so leaning into the journey you can find in exotic missions or the mechanics you might find in a dungeon.
You have to kind of think your way through. You have to figure out, like, hey, what do I need to do next in order to get to the end of this?
We've got Savathun, right?
What?
The Queen
What
of
is that
Lies,
animation
so
with
this
the...
campaign is full of surprises.
Savathun has all these abilities, and you got to make sure that all of the abilities of the bosses would be something worthy of her. And as I kept thinking about this, you know, I felt like I was really becoming Savathun.
We've also added the legendary difficulty, which is called Become Legend.
Oh my
It's not for
god!
the faint of heart. It's gonna be loaded with these moments that are gonna be frustrating, almost like teeth gnashing, but when you get through those encounters, you're gonna feel like really accomplished.
Double rewards, yeah.
As people who have worked on raids and dungeons before, being able to broaden that experience for any kind of player who comes in is really important.
If the Witch
Is that a
Queen is the
Scone buddy
psychic,
in the back?
detective, fantasy, and journey, then Season of the Risen is that same detective
Season of the Risen,
throwing
you
on
were
their
right.
flak jacket and defending Earth from the Hive Guardians and the Lucent Hive and Savathun herself.
Whoa! What are you doing there? That looks...
When Savathun shows up on our doorstep with the light, the first person to lend us help is Keitel.
Keitel!
You want us to hit them. I need us to hit them.
She's got this light suppressing technology that the Cabal were using in Season of the Chosen, and now she's going to help us use that against...
Oh my god, they're
the
all like
Hive.
working together in a
When you're working
unit.
with
That
Kyle
looks so
Paul,
fucking
she has a
cool.
different approach. It's not about asking
It is the
questions,
Cult
it's about
Stars. It
getting
is
in there
100%
and
the Cult
expressing.
Stars.
We don't really understand what happened when Savathun actually was able to take the light. So the campaign in Season of the Risen in many ways is about that story. Guardians need to stop Savathun's advance beyond the throne world. And Savathun poses an existential threat to everyone because she basically has an undead army.
In fighting the Lucent Brood, this isn't our first time in the game fighting other light bearers, but it is the first time that we'll be facing other light bearers that have much more relentless motives.
When you look at these Hive Guardians
Mhm.
and when they do their abilities, you immediately make that connection like, oh, they are using my powers
Oh, of course
against
we are.
me.
Of course.
As soon as we see the Knight pop its super and it has 2 shields, you immediately are like, oh yeah, I see that connection. And then it's like, and then you're like, it hits you with those guns and then you're dead. And it's just an amazing experience.
The Guardians themselves kind of feel like a fire team that you're fighting against. You got every class represented.
The Acolyte, when that character casts, does very similar thing as the player, like the Arc
Oh my
Wizard.
god, the Arc
Sparks
Wizard!
go out, it's ready
No!
to go. If you're not smart about it, if you're not paying attention, you
So
are essentially
good.
going to have to play that fight over again.
If you're successful in taking down one of these Hive units that
You've
are
got to
wielding
run
the
up and
light,
you've got to kill their ghosts,
you actually
otherwise
have
they're
to
just
go
going to
up
come
and
back.
kill their ghosts.
Yeah, yeah.
That was like one of my favorite things that we were able to do in this game is just that moment where you
Mhm.
crush the ghost.
It's kind
Trystan.
of this moral dilemma. A ghost is your companion, and now suddenly you have one in your hand and you're about to crush it.
The first time that happens, you're like looking at your hand like, I can't believe what I've just done. Am I doing this? Should I be doing this?
I have a ghost.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
What
Like,
is
what
going
Savathun and her Lucent Brood are the most dangerous enemies we've faced so far. And so we're going to need better, more powerful weapons and tools to fight against that threat.
We did a bunch of work early on looking at various different types of weapons we could add to the sandbox.
We wanted to introduce a special weapon archetype that was effective more at a middle range, but also had these kind of additional
glaive.
roles associated with it.
Yeah.
The glaive is a projectile weapon, and it is a shield, and it's a melee weapon. We wanted to keep that experience in
Oh
first
my
person.
God!
It has an immediacy that you don't really get when you're using a sword because the
I want
camera is
7.
so much further back. Because this is also a projectile weapon with a slower moving projectile, the onus of
That
skill
looks like
on
it
aiming
tracks.
these weapons is about leading and compensating for the speed of the projectile and anticipating that. If you're in a really difficult encounter and one of your teammates
Basically,
dies
yeah, it's like
somewhere
two-handed
out in the
bow.
open where you normally wouldn't be able to get to them, you can bring that shield up and actually get the revive and then fall back.
Oh, I love that mechanic.
Glaives
That's gonna be
originate
amazing.
With Savathun trying to steal an extremely powerful weapon for her own use, and players will use the weapon crafting recipes that they find throughout the campaign in order to reconstruct this incredibly powerful and incredibly ancient weapon.
When you put together your glaive in the campaign, you just get a taste that that's what you want to do for the rest of the weapons that you get.
Weapon crafting lets you target a specific role and go and build that, and you know how long it's going to take you to get there, and you get exactly the thing that you
Father's sins.
I really want to see what people do
Father's
with it, and, like,
sins.
the feedback that we're gonna get, and people sharing all of the things that they're doing with that new system.
You're creating your
The
guardian,
enigma.
and you want to be able to shape your guardian into what you want them to be. And this gives us a great opportunity to continue to do that.
This is a really big season for weapons in particular. We've got 8 brand new exotics. The Osteostreaker exotic submachine gun.
8,
This is
yeah.
something which Guardians have made, but it's modeled after weapons of sorrow, like Thorn and Touch of Malice.
Ooh,
Fires
okay.
Swarms of tiny homing projectiles that land on a target and then explode in this poison burst. We have an exotic
Love poison
machine gun
weapons.
where the whole idea is be the Colossus. You can launch a barrage of up to 20 homing missiles.
It's a comical amount of projectiles on the screen.
It's like
We're doing an
Wardcliffe
exotic
Coil on
glaive for
absolute
each class this time,
steroids.
and the exotic perks tied deeply into the mechanics of the classes. I think they're going to be really cool additions to build crafting.
That was an interesting little Titan
We've
bubble.
got the
Wait.
usual suite of raid weapons, destination, activity, seasonal. I recounted it this morning, and I think it's about 50 new weapons.
50 new
You're going
weapons.
to have 2 new exotic armors for each class, totaling 6, 1 stasis, 1 non-stasis. The Titan stasis exotic. Cast your barricade, and instead of, this Traveler's Light and the Rally Barricade, you create a giant wall of ice. Even though this thing is massive, you still get all the benefits of a Rally Barricade. Warlock Void Exotic.
It's very
we called
good.
them the Devouring Rift legs because
Oh, is that gonna
we
make you
wanted
wanna play
Empowering
Titan,
Rift
though?
to feel like it had a place in endgame content the way that Healing Rift does. Empowering Rift doesn't heal you. Well, what if it did?
In
Oh,
season
shit.
16, you're going to see a massive revamp to the Void subclass systems across all 3 classes.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
a
Void
huge
2.0.
update and will allow players to build craft in ways that they've never
Yes!
done
We're getting the same thing for
One
the
of
light
things we wanted to
subclasses!
do is
Yes!
create a core set of verbs like we did with stasis.
Anyone can run
Child of
suppressors
the
now.
old gods.
I think that's a pretty cool
That's
thing
probably
to be
I'm
able
going to
to
be
do.
running suppressor
Yeah.
grenade
Oh, yeah.
probably.
We wanted you to feel like you were the energy vampire, feel like you were the Night Stalker, feel like you were that protector, that big Sentinel Titan. So you're gonna see things like Bastion, a new Titan aspect, where you take your big old Sentinel shield, slam it into the ground, and create this void barricade that's gonna apply overshield to you and your buddies.
That
My
is
favorite
so
aspect
fucking
is probably
good.
Child of the Old Gods. As this warlock controlling space and time, I'm able to rip a hole into another dimension and then pull out this little sentient black hole. Whenever I target an enemy, my little black hole buddy is gonna fly over there and start draining their life.
Oh my
The
god!
Void 3.0 update is really setting the stage for how we're thinking about updating the subclasses for the rest of the year.
We're gonna
Good.
extend this
I
velocity
can't wait to see the rest of the
solar and
subclasses.
arc. Solar obviously is going to be about burning, but there's this other component to solar, and that's healing. Arc is all about chaining. It's all about
Let me
lightning,
heal
direct
on a
attacks,
solo
quickness.
subclass.
We're gonna
I would
take the
fucking
fantasies that
die.
you know and love today. We're gonna embellish them. So what you'll see is like all of the new abilities, all the new actions you take, reinforce that to the core. Pretty excited about it.
Love that.
Witch Queen is very much the culmination of the last 6 to 7 years of just destiny altogether. And really, this is starting the road to the final showdown. But things aren't necessarily just dark and light anymore. There's a lot more nuance in the game.
It's
There's
gonna
so
be
many
a real fight.
cutscenes,
Players
and
have something
everyone
they're
is
really
there.
going to be
It's so
challenged by.
good.
I can't wait for everyone to find out what's been going on with Savathun. Like, I'm excited.
You Guardians are so clever, aren't you?
From the drone world to the campaign to the customizable build crafting, it all comes together to make Destiny feel really new and fresh.
We've got more Destiny coming this year than any other year before. It's one of the most ambitious releases we've ever put together, and the team is firing on all cylinders.
The last time they said that, they were talking about the Taken King, so that makes me so excited.
What do you think you're going to do?
It looks so good. Oh, Lord. So, it's weird. I feel like there is both so much to talk about, and yet not a lot to talk about that hasn't already been mentioned. It's weird. It's this weird, like, little oxymoron where, like, I just want to gush about how excited I am about the story and how it looks like we're getting so many cutscenes and we're getting so much character interaction, and yet it's just there. It's just there. So that is the first thing that I want to mention. It looks like Witch Queen is the brainchild of the Jade who played Destiny 1 and wanted desperately for all of these characters to be in the same room, who freaked out when we finally got it during the Taken King, when Zavala, Ikora, and Cade and Eris were all talking after the Awoken Fleet was destroyed. Seeing Anna, Shax, Saladin, Zavala, Ikora, seeing Eris, everyone in that room together, in Zavala's office together, was like a fever dream. Like, I've been dreaming of interactions like that ever since Destiny 1, ever since the Taken King. So to see it happening, and to see it happening a lot, to see Ikora and Eris together, to see Saladin and Zavala and Crow talking to Keitel, it's all so exciting, and it looks like we're gonna get a lot of cutscenes in The Witch Queen. I sincerely hope that that is the case, and it's not just the fact that what we have seen is smatterings from like different cutscenes, but Forsaken had a lot, Beyond Light had a few, Shadowkeep again had a few, but I'm just hoping for like such a rich story, and the way they're talking about the story and the way they're talking about the narrative, I don't necessarily doubt that that's going to be the case, but I just am so excited. Seeing Anna there brings up a really interesting conversation of, you know, is Rasputin back? Has she finished her little EXO dad project? I sincerely hope so, because that could be very interesting for future seasons. And speaking of seasons, we have to talk about Season of the Risen. So Season of the Risen is apparently the season that is going to be running either concurrently or maybe like a week or so after The Witch Queen launches, which is very stereotypical. That happens a lot. It happened with Shadowkeep, with Season of the Undying, it happened with Beyond Light, with Season of the Hunt. However, with this season, I will say that I feel like whatever Season of the Risen is going to like be in its long form, seems like it is a lot more cohesive to the story of The Witch Queen. And bear with me here. So Season of the Undying came out after Shadowkeep, and there was a little bit of connect there. Obviously the raid was us going into the Black Garden to chase the Darkness's message. Like, that all made sense. It made sense that we would be doing the Vex offensive and trying to keep the Vex back and trying to kill the Undying Mind, and obviously that narrative fed into Season of Dawn, and you know, all of that, you know, the way they're connecting the narratives together has only gotten better year by year by year, and I'm really grateful for that. That being said, that didn't feel as tied to what the actual narrative of Shadowkeep was, which was the pyramid ships being here and helping Iris face her nightmares and reclaiming the moon and things like that. Same goes for Beyond Light. We were looking into Clovis Bray and gaining stasis and learning that the dark and the light are just two different tools that we can use rather than good and bad, which is obviously a narrative that's being furthered in The Witch Queen. But then Season of the Hunt felt very disconnected, because whilst yes, we got Crow back and it was the beginning of Savathun being Osiris and that whole narrative and situation, it was so disconnected because all of a sudden we were on the Tangled Shore and in the Dreaming City, and it didn't feel like it had anything to do with Beyond Light, which some people will probably see as positive, some people will probably see as negative. I very obviously would have wished that it was tied a little bit more in, and I guess it would have been hard to tie Crow into a story like Beyond Light, and we needed to see Crow because it had been so long since we'd known that Uldren was revived. So I mean, I'm grateful that we got him when we did, and I would assume that such feedback as that is what has made them make this Season of the Risen tie into The Witch Queen a lot more. The idea of certain Guardians going into Savathun's throne world and trying to defeat her there, and other Guardians with the Cabal, with these Cabal allies that we've gained from the outside trying to stop that offensive as well, seemingly on different planets. Looks like we have the moon and the EDZ, is just, mwah, it's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted from a season. Obviously there's questions of how that seasonal narrative is going to progress, if it's going to, I mean, we won't know where it goes until we see it, and until we get an idea of what the season next will be. But it definitely ties a little bit more into the Witch Queen. Kyle as a character, I'm just always excited to see more of her on screen, and I'm always excited to see more of her interactions with Zavala. And I just think if they wanted to get married, I think he deserves it. Ikora has her girlfriend Eris Morn. Let Zavala have that. I think he deserves that. Savathun's throne world looks so incredibly intricate. They talked about wanting them to look like an impressionist painting, which, you know, I said and Trystan said as we were reacting. They basically nailed that. It definitely looks that way. The idea that all of these different areas have a different feel to them because Savathun has, like, put the light in certain areas, or the light is slowly starting to, like, you know, affect her throne world, is again brilliant. I know that Bungie really love their evolving spaces, as in like physical spaces. They're constantly talking about a game that constantly evolves, we all know that, but like the space itself evolving I think is really interesting. All of the mysteries, and for those of you who are watching who are in the Queeria server, and I will talk more about what Queeria is at the end of this video, you have already seen me lamenting very jokingly over how fun and yet amazingly frustrating looking for those mysteries are going to be, because my partner Trystan loves looking for secrets, and he loves finding secrets, and he's a very, very good puzzle solver. He's incredibly into that kind of stuff. He's led me through exotic quests, and he's led me through dungeons, and we've figured stuff like that out together, and it's great. The idea that Savathun's throne world is going to be full of that is incredibly exciting. It's very exciting. I'm kidding, Trystan, I love you. I was always kind of, not dubious, but I was always very curious about what they meant when they said, oh, Savathun's throne world is just full of mysteries, because like how many quests where you don't get, you know, the instructions on how to do it can you put in before the player gets frustrated? But if there's one thing that we've learned about the Destiny community, it's that they are always willing to rise up to a challenge, and especially a mystery, and especially like solve a puzzle and stuff like that. So I would be very interested to see just how many there are and, you know, the extent that it goes to, and just how much we're gonna have to figure out the intricacies of this throne world. It does remind me a lot of the Dreadnought. It does remind me a lot of, I know, the secrets like around Europa. It just feels like a culmination of a lot of things that Bungie have been not testing, but like putting out there and seeing how the players react to it. And, you know, they talked about that a lot in this ViDoc, that we're gonna see story seeds from Destiny 1 and things like that, so just very, very exciting. But yeah, back to the topic about like the secrets in the throne world, I really do just wonder how many are there. We're obviously getting that little mystery board thing. I wonder how that's going to work. Are we going to be finding a mystery and then going back and then getting some like maybe feedback from Ikora or Eris, and them saying, why don't you go over here and look at that, and we go over there and look at that and we find this thing? Like how what's what I'm looking for, how dense is it going to be? Like, how intricate is it going to be, is my question, and, you know, that's not an answer I'm going to get until we play it. So I can't wait to just be in my boyfriend's backpack, waiting for him to figure out a mystery so that I can get a very cool exotic weapon. One thing I have been wondering, though, is are we going to be killing Savathun at the end of the campaign or in the raid itself? Because Oryx was killed in his throne world in the raid King's Fall off of the campaign The Taken King. However, the raid for the Witch Queen looks like it's going to be taking place in a cracked pyramid, which is something that I spoke about with Trystan in my podcast Queeria. Again, more information about that at the end of the video. So it seems as though, well, it doesn't seem as though it's been confirmed the raid is going to take place in that pyramid, but is Savathun going to be hiding in that pyramid after the events of Witch Queen? Is it going to take all of Season of the Risen for us to be able to defeat her? That's my big question, because I can't see a scenario in which she would go out in the same way her brother went out, because, you know, she's the god of trickery. She definitely marches to the beat of her own drum, which is probably a song that, very much like any sort of Cthulhu thing, makes you go mad the second you hear it. Anyway, I just think that it would be not a cop-out, but I would be disappointed if we like properly defeated her at the end of the campaign. I would want it to either be in a raid or towards the end of the season of the Risen. I think that that would be very, very interesting. But I suppose then you get into a conversation of, if people buy the DLC, do they get the seasons, and can they buy the seasons and not the DLC, and is that narrative going to be connected, and blah blah blah. But regardless, I just hope, what I will say is that I hope we don't kill Savathun in the campaign. That's like my main biggest wish right now. Void 2.0 also looks absolutely incredible. I am so excited that we've gotten confirmation. I mean, we may have gotten confirmation a while ago and I've just forgotten, but I'm very excited that we got confirmation that the light subclasses are going to have that exact same menu that the darkness subclasses do, because I remember them saying that that was a possibility, but they weren't sure like when they were going to do it because it was going to take a lot of work. But it seems like Void 2.0 is, you know, the stepping point for that, and I'm so excited. And they said they were working on Solar and Arc, and as cool as Void is, I'm not personally like a big Void user because I main Hunter, and unfortunately Night Stalker just hasn't felt as powerful in D2 as it did in D1, which is a shame. I still use it obviously when it's needed, but I don't Void as much as I once used to. What I do is Solar, so as much as I would love to talk about Void 2.0, what I really want to focus on is when someone in the ViDoc mentioned that Solar was going to include healing people. If I could like have a Solar subclass as a hunter and also heal people, that would be perfect. That would be perfect. I can't honestly really think of anything else that I would want to mention that I'm probably not going to talk about in the podcast or online. Very excited to see Crow back. I definitely want to see, you know, I want him and the Guardian to have a conversation about everything that happened in Season of the Lost and how he's feeling now. I sincerely hope that Season of the Risen doesn't go by without us having closure with Crow. I mean, if Crow is ready for that, it just would be very interesting. And again, seeing him with all of the other characters is going to be very, very interesting, and there's just so much story potential. So I guess the last thing that I will say is that this definitely feels like the next evolution, the next apex of Destiny narrative storytelling, because not just because we have characters in the same room, but because we have seasons that are narratively cohesive to the DLC, because we have things that are exact like spring off points, because we have characters asking each other for help and things of that nature. I just feel like everything that they started with Forsaken in terms of narrative, everything that they started with Shadowkeep and with the new seasons, with how the seasons would flow into each other, and I feel like everything in terms of having these character-driven stories where these characters have their own motives and are working together or not working together for whatever reason has coalesced so beautifully into whatever the Witch Queen is going to be, and hopefully that just keeps going and we get even more and even more and even more. The idea of the Witch Queen being the part 1 of the finale of the Darkness and Light saga, they mentioned that many times and it makes me a little nervous and also very excited because it's Witch Queen, Lightfall, and then Final Shape, I believe. So whatever happens with Lightfall and Final Shape will basically be like the finale of the Light and Darkness saga. Maybe it'll be a Kingdom Hearts 3 scenario or a Kingdom Hearts scenario where Kingdom Hearts 3 is the end of the Dark Seeker saga and then we just have to wait to see whatever happens next. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts player. I know very many people who are. That's how I know that stuff. Lots to be excited about. We are less than a month away. We are... How many days away are we? We're like 2 to get to 10. And then 12. 14? 2 weeks? 2 weeks away. We are 2 weeks away from Witch Queen. And on that note, those are all of my sort of radiant, main, exciting thoughts that I have about the Witch Queen ViDoc and about the Witch Queen in general, and I hope that you guys share those opinions, share those feelings. If you don't, if there's anything you noticed that I didn't talk about, please leave them down in the comments. I'm always in there, I'm always wanting to talk about more stuff with more Destiny people, so please go ahead. And since I've name dropped it twice in this video, if you don't follow me on Twitter, if the only place you know me is these YouTube videos, I have started a podcast with my partner Trystan, otherwise known as Exordium Noctis, who again, if you watch my videos, you'll have heard both of those names many times. The podcast is called Queeria. It's available on Spotify and on YouTube. I will be leaving the links for it down in the description below. The aim of the podcast is just me and Trystan sitting around talking about the things we love the most. The episode that we have up at the moment is sort of recapping Season of the Lost and touching on the Witch Queen a little bit. But the reason why we called it Queeria is because we want to give that queer perspective to everything. We are queer people who are naturally going to do that anyway, but it's nice to be able to build a space where you can say something and almost imagine you're in a room full of other like-minded queer people. And if you're a listener, the idea is that, again, you can get that perspective and feel like someone is hearing or seeing something from a perspective that you have as well. And even if you're not queer, I've already spoken to people who have listened to the podcast who have noticed things that they wouldn't have even thought about because they're not queer. And it's really, really fantastic. So anyone can listen to it. Like I say, it's available on Spotify and it's available on YouTube. It's Queeria. If you would like to go watch it on YouTube and leave comments in the description. If you would like to go listen to it on Spotify and tweet at us, that would be great as well. All of the support that we've got for it so far has been absolutely mind-blowing. So if you are watching this video and you've listened to all of that stuff, thank you very, very much. It means a lot to me and it means a lot to Trystan. And on that note, I'm going to go log into Destiny and get my pinnacle sorted before Witch Queen drops. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful, fantastic day. Please leave any thoughts that you have down in the comments below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I am _ScarletRebel. And I hope you all have a wonderful, fantastic, and safe day. Bye, guys.